Objectivity, or the whole story. Three-quarter cup all-purpose flour, 1 teaspoon baking powder, half a teaspoon kosher salt, 2 large eggs, 1/3 of a cup granulated sugar, 1 tablespoon light brown sugar, 1 tablespoon honey, 2 teaspoons finely grated lemon or orange zest, 6 tablespoons warm melted unsalted butter. Ingredients for Daniel Boulad's Madeleine. We have already said that there is something as different as mind and body between music as an inner wordless experience and the physical facts that would seem to be the only candidates to explain music. A difference also between our knowledge of something directly apprehended and our knowledge in constructed concepts. These are distinguishably different modes. Think with me now about objectivity for a moment. What do we mean when we talk about being objective? What is objectivity and why should we aspire to it? Broadly speaking, we pursue the goal of apprehending reality, exterior to us and independent of us, as it really is. We want to construct within us, being the kind of thing that can know, an accurate duplicate, a picture or conception of reality. Again, a picture of reality as it really is and not merely as it is to us in appearance. We cannot satisfy ourselves with an idea of reality merely as it seems to be. We want to be objective. Usually this means moving from direct perception to corrected concept. Let's pause to notice that we might have, upon arrival here so suddenly the citizens of existence, expected no difference. Expected perhaps that the way things seem to be would be identical to the way things really are. Perception devoid of illusion. That when I looked at the sun or saw colors, gazing out from my own vantage, the whole of the world beyond me would appear to me precisely as it is. This apparently is not the case, and illusions abound, or at least distort. Direct perception, we're told, does not quite deliver. When I look at the sun, for example, I see what I might describe as a small, burning yellow disk. That's the direct perception, or almost. Before I have those descriptors, I already have the sun as it appears to me wordlessly in my own direct experience. There it is. The words small, burning, disk, etc. might fit my experience pretty well, but maybe they're not quite right. But to what would I refer if I wanted to improve these descriptors? To find the better words? I would refer to my direct experience itself, pre-verbal. None of this is objectivity. But we make this distinction. Knowing by direct perception is not quite synonymous with descriptions depicting our direct perceptions. We describe what we know in wordless immediacy. What about objectivity? Conceiving of the sun, our example objectively, is different. We, as a first step, defect from both direct perception and descriptions depicting our direct perception. As objectively conceived, the sun is not what it is in appearance, but something a little different. If I describe it objectively, I might say it is a spherical ball of gas, 865,000 miles in diameter with nuclear fusion at its core, a star. It's not small or a disk. I'm no longer knowing the sun as I do in direct apprehension, but talking about it from a more carefully constructed mental concept. I'm coming at it from a different angle. And our objective description could be more detailed. It might include further facts, its distance from the Earth, or mathematical descriptions of orbits, etc. As compared with these objective ideas, words like burning, disk, yellow, and small, however accurately they depict my personal, direct interior perceptions, do not accurately depict the exterior, mind-independent reality. the physical facts. Pause though. Perhaps it's not so simple. What I easily bucket as subjective is not clearly so, because our perceptions include us. As one example, the fact of the sun appearing small to me is, of course, not a perception about the sun alone, as aspirations to pure objectivity might prefer. Rather, it is a perception about the sun and a perception about me, the observer. I am about 152 million measurable kilometers from the object I am perceiving. If I was expecting the view from nowhere, then perception that includes information about my position in relation to the object I observe is an undesirable illusion. But if I add myself back in, aspects of perception that represent a distance between me and what I am looking at are not illusory at all. Arguably, they depict objective facts, just not facts exclusively about the sun, not facts that comprehensively exclude me. But should perception exclude me? There's something further, though. The sun exists exterior to and independently of me. But what about facts that necessarily include me? For example, the statement, "chocolate cake is delicious." We would consider that a subjective statement. Subjective, firstly, in the usual sense, that it's simply a matter of opinion. Not everyone likes chocolate cake, or cake for that matter. Subjective, though, in the second sense, taste is something we know only in our interior subjective experience. There's something that it's like to taste cake, qualia to philosophers. At one level, this is simply a second example of how our perceptions include us. For example, if I rephrase the statement about the cake to say instead, "I'm enjoying this cake," you would be unlikely to object by saying, "That's a matter of opinion." It is, I suppose, my opinion. But it's a fact about both me and the cake. The statement becomes less assailable when I acknowledge that my total perception is both an interaction with an external object and self-knowledge. It simply cannot be misunderstood when stated this way, as presenting either a universal opinion or an objective property of the object. At one level, then, like the sun, my perception includes me. But there's also a difference. Unlike the sun, completely exterior to me, there are no facts about taste as directly experienced that exist independently of and exterior to an observer. There are objective facts, of course, about tongues and brains and molecules, but to enumerate these is not to taste. There is no sense in trying to be objective, to say objectively what chocolate cake really tastes like, because it's not the independent property of an exterior object. It's not like the sun's diameter. If conscious experience is real, then some facts, for example, facts we know directly and in our experience, are not something we can be objective about. They don't exist in a way that can comprehensively exclude us. One last thing. Let's touch on intent. I owned a book once called Culinary Artistry. A cake is baked, obviously, for the purpose of being known in experience rather than put before us to be conceived of objectively as though we would take notes. There's an intent behind the thing. The context is a kind of communique. To appreciate it does not require us to defect from our human subjectivity, but to enjoy it in our individual humanity. This seems almost like a throwback to episodes from Season 1 about physical information. If I pick up A Tale of Two Cities and insist on discovering in it only the objective physical facts of science, only paper and only ink, and that these are really particles and really subparticles and such, I may seem at one level to have an appropriate allegiance with perceiving reality, the reality of the book as it really is. But at another level, I am missing the whole story. What then is accuracy and what is illusion? The context may change. When what we receive is a kind of communication intended to be perceived in an interior and human way. What we compare our perception with to determine if it is accurate changes. Illusions by one standard become intended disclosures by another as the ink turns into words. Someone is behind it, perceived, conveying. Someone is baking a cake or writing a song, recording a podcast. Someone is speaking human, and we cannot defect from our humanity in order to hear them more clearly.
It hurt me deeply when you drilled midwinter into the living wood, then banged in the tap with purposeful precision, aligned as knocked in by definite decision. All through the frozen night, all the thawing day, I thought that I was weeping, I was having my say. What was not bitter in wind, in wound, in that pre-morning dark, all incomprehensible, now has been poured in a little cup. You've made it sweet and sensible.